about to leave. Already packing, come with me. I'm not really.
Hello friends and enemies, welcome back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with our Romancelandia Monthly. Literally a month. I probably could have done a mid-month update just to cut this down on length. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but I got a lot of notes. Whole lot of notes. We do have one thing that I missed in February to cover first, and then I will take you through everything. There will be timestamps down below if you want to skip to a certain section that you're curious on, etc. I get it. Again, I have a feeling this is going to be a long one for me. So in February, I unfortunately neglected / also I think my brain knew that we were already going to deal with a lot of black pain and emotion, and I don't want this update to always be a focus of that. I don't want to make it look like it's just nonstop problems. That's not what I want to do. And honestly, it happened on February 1st, of course, which means by the time we got to the end of the month and had everything else that happened last month, I was like, whew, it was too much to cover and had to cut some things. So I did cut Isabella Starling, who is a white author that did literary blackface. Yeah, so she made a new pen name, and on February 1st, she published a new book under that pen name, which was Chelsea Millen. It was called The Baker and the Geek. The cover featured 2 black characters, and she just kind of changed the story a little bit to fit them, because that's how black identity totally works. It doesn't, y'all. You can't just change their skin color. There's so much more to crafting a character with this identity. It just makes me mad. It makes me really, really mad. One, because she has like an iteration of my name, so no. 2, like, the idea, like, do you not have black friends? Do you not have friends of color, lady? Like, I'm sorry, but I know so much because of my friends who are not white. Like, that's why I know things. You know, I'm very well aware of bonnets and locking your hair and a lot of other things that I've learned from my black friends and their babies who they've had, and I just adore. But I just, y'all, no, stop it. This is not okay. So yeah, just a heads up, Isabella Starling is shitty. I will link in the description, as always, to threads on why this was bad, that go into more detail. I don't really want to drag this one out because I feel like we have so much other stuff to talk about this month. So much. So what do I say? It was a bad month, y'all. For real, a bad month. But yeah, if you want to read more on Isabella Starling, seriously, I'm linking to a ton of great threads. It will say like threads on that, and you can go check it out. I highly recommend you check it out. She has a couple other pen names supposedly. I wasn't able to confirm, so I'm not including that, but yeah. FYI, she's definitely not an author I'm personally not going to pick up because I don't think she deserves my attention. All right, so I didn't cover this. I don't remember if this happened in early March or late February after I filmed. So yeah, I don't remember exact dates. And we have to call this person out, and that's why I do this. Honestly, that's why I do this. It is Rate the Romance on Instagram. I've already deleted her yearly challenge because I'm not going to support somebody who does this. So first round with her, I'm gonna provide screenshots. So thank you so much for Jackie from On the Same Page, Talk About Swoon, Bisexual Book Nerd. They are all the people who I grabbed screenshots from. Y'all go follow them on Instagram. They're amazing. They deserve all the love. So this really comes down to microaggressions, not understanding what microaggressions are, and not being able to apologize appropriately and in the correct fashion, or accept criticism and say, I'm sorry, I messed up. Let me fix that. Because that's all she had to do. All she had to do, y'all. You don't have to cry white tears to get support. We're not, just stop. Just stop. All right. So first, this all started because she posted a story that said, help a white woman out, what's a wash day? I don't understand. Ma'am, there's Google. You Google that. You watch YouTube videos on that. You are on your phone on the internet. You can find those out for yourself without asking. And you honestly, again, do you have no friends of color? Do you have no black friends? Because I just feel like I know these things because I have friends who are not the same color as me. Shocking turn of events, I know. Yeah, Google's free. You don't ask people to educate you on a public platform when you have quite the following when you could Google it. Like, that's just rude. Also, it's a microaggression, like you're kind of trying to say they're dirty, and that's not the case. And then she made her request for non-black authored people of color books, or AOCs. So we started using the term BIPOC for a reason, and it is to be sure we are including various kinds of people of color. When you say people of color, people will ignore black people or indigenous people. That is why we say BIPOC. It's to be more inclusive. And it's not a big deal. Like, it's really simple. But yeah, so she wanted a list of non-black author books. And then on Martin Luther King Day, side by side, I will show you the screenshot. She posted a list of black authors from a black creator, which I think was Talk About Swoon, if I'm correct, who gave her this list. She did the list just straight through, like copy word for word, did not add her own authors, nothing. She literally just copied this list and posted it on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Because, you know, if ever there's a day that you're gonna see white people post things that are not allies, it's Martin Luther King Day. That's for damn sure. And yeah, it's just really shitty that she went and stole this list basically, word for word, didn't credit her. And then she ran to Twitter to complain that she left Instagram because it was too toxic. And everyone on Twitter was like, no, absolutely not, which is how I found out about it. I cannot with this woman, y'all. I cannot. I highly recommend you just unfollow and don't support, because she does not deserve your likes or anything. Then it gets even better. So Bisexual Book Nerd, who I adore, she's amazing on Twitter, on Instagram. She's amazing. And she shared a review from Rate the Swoon about Red, White, and Royal Blue, talking about how it's so unrealistic that someone who is 21 would have never experienced anyone in their life who wasn't supportive of their choice to be gay. Can you sit with that for, let's sit. So we've got microaggressions, stealing from black creators with no credit, and then telling people who are in any way queer or LGBTQ that your pain must be on the page and suffering for this to be authentic. No, absolutely not. We do not, and I speak to this as a queer person, like, we do not have to demonstrate our pain, our torture, anything we went through to tell you that we're, like, that our story is authentic or real. And some of us don't experience that. Some of us have nothing but support. And that is what I hope for every little freaking queer kid in the world, is to have that support, because that is beautiful and that is what they need, not pain and suffering. But here's snippets of her review here. But yeah, just a general reminder, once again, I feel like I say this all the time, people's identities do not require trauma to be valid. Yeah, that's just not a thing at all, and nor do people are required to share their trauma with you to validate their ability to write that identity or to be a valid member of that community. So no. Then round two, y'all. This happened after the awful hate crime that happened in Atlanta, and she shared a list of Asian American Pacific Islander authors. Any guesses? Yeah, so she included Canadian authors and non-American authors in this list, and then got mad because people told her this. So she turned off comments, of course. And, you know, she's just trying to help. She's just trying to be supportive. And I just want to say this loud and clear on this channel, in this update. If you know me, I don't think this is a surprise, but y'all, you can't stop hate crimes by buying books. You cannot stop hate crimes by buying a book that is about those people. That is not how it works. If you want to help stop hate crimes, stand up for some bystander training on how to interject when a hate crime is happening in front of you, when someone is harassing someone. You know, you as like a non-person of that identity, of that racial group, can insert yourself to protect them. I have not had to do it. My partner has. I've watched my partner many a times insert themselves because people leave them alone. And you know, they have inserted themselves between someone else who was being shitty to that person, and just, you know, all you do is sit there. If they're being yelled at, you just walk with them. It's the same thing we do as women when we see another woman being harassed by a man. Just, if you want to help, take bystander training, learn about microaggressions, and learn how to help combat it and talk back to these people when they spout these awful things. That is what you need to do. I'm not saying don't read these books. Read these books, read these authors, of course. But you cannot make this change by just buying a book and not reading it. The same thing happened last year with the Black Lives Matter protest. I feel like people bought anti-racist books, they read one or two. Again, I still have a ton I need to read. But like, they didn't continue the work. They just said, well, I bought the book. I read The Hate U Give. No shade to The Hate U Give. There's more to this process than just, I bought the book. Then it gets worse. She basically posted this screenshot, which I'll put up here, in which she tells us that this hatred she's getting for trying to help is why white people won't stand up or speak out when things happen. No. That is not the case. I don't care who the F supposedly DM'd you this. Whoever they are, they're not an ally. And it's not our job, again, as white people, to say that like we're allies or anything, because that is not our place. Our friends get to call us that when we do things correctly, and we don't claim that label. You don't get to be like, I'm an ally. No. And you know, maybe you don't speak up because you're scared you're gonna mess it up. And so talk to your friends when these things happen, instead of making an incorrect post and making sure they're there and you're comforting them and saying like, what can I do? What do you want me to do? Or offering, even better, offering things to do. So like, maybe they're really, you know, they're hurting, and offer to get them a meal. Like, there's so many options, y'all, that aren't just posting a thing and then saying, well, you told me I was wrong, and so this is why we don't try and do anything. No, absolutely not. That is not the case. That is utter bullshit. And I'm so mad at this person. I don't even know her, and I'm livid thinking about it. So yeah, don't use your whiteness to shield why you don't stand up for things. This is a you problem, not a general problem. Like, this is something you need to think about yourself. Some introspection is good. And yeah, if you're afraid to speak up when things happen, there are ways to do it that aren't yelling that you're getting bullied. And, you know, also, again, the art of the apology is very lost these days, and I don't really get it. You apologize for what you did specifically and talk about how you're going to change it. Say, I'm going to do better research next time, and I'm going to make sure I talk to somebody before I post something like this, etc. It's not hard. It's really not hard, y'all. It's really not hard. All right. This one's hard, y'all. This one's hard because nobody wants to call out a fave of the community. Nobody wants to do those things, but Nick and Ari stepped up. I've had some concerns and issues with this item and how it's used over the last few years. I never really spoke up because like I know this isn't true, but I feel like I'm a nobody, and who cares what I think. This is about the Ripped Bodice Diversity Report. So if you're watching this right now on Tuesday when it goes live, tonight on Mara, Books Like Woe's channel, I will be live with some other romance readers talking about the report, talking about the issues. We'll be, of course, talking about this amazing critique. So first things first, we have to give props to Nick and Ari for this incredible critique that was so well thought out, so well executed, just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And y'all like need to read it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here because I want you to go read it. But I'm going to talk about what happened and like what this is and means. So I will link to Nick and Ari, and I will also link to their blogs, because you should go check out their blogs as well and give them some love over there, because they have been going through it since they posted their critique. People are just unsurprisingly raging assholes. So Ari and Nick are both statisticians. Did I say that right? I don't know if I did. Whatever. Anyways, they have the expertise to critique this report, how the data is gathered, what's shared with us as a reader of the report. I guess first off, I'll talk about some of my issues with the report. So one of my issues is that we don't have, and they have the same issue, I feel like we're getting this percentage, this number, but it's not telling us a full story, because we just know that year over year it was X percent up or down, or yeah, of books published by authors of color, by BIPOC. But we don't know how many books that publisher published that year, which to me means that this report has always been kind of inaccurate and not a full story of the data. That's, in my mind, that's how that makes sense. I also have massive issues with the graphical design of the report. It is designed like a marketing infographic. And if you really were interested in reporting on diversity in romance publishing, which we all know is way too white as far as traditional publishing goes, you know that this report basically looks like a marketing piece. It kind of is a marketing piece. You know, they get some kind of coverage on a lot of sites when this comes out every year. There's always no real big surprise that it's, you know, not great. So I think like a big key for this is I think it's really important you go read the piece from Ari and Nick. And I think it's important that as a community we examine what is actually helpful while also listening to BIPOC voices around this report when these things come up. Because I think it's hard for people to not feel defensive because you just think romance is being attacked, but like it's not being attacked. It's people inside the community saying there are problems with this and we have to stop and listen when that happens. I honestly think Nick and Ari were probably the most qualified people in Romancelandia to do this report, like to do this reply. Ripped Bodice, of course, replied to the criticism in a what I would call demeaning fashion, in my opinion. It was very much a we're white ladies and we're trying response. They completely ignored Nick and Ari's credentials and instead just called them bloggers and readers and acted like they had no idea who they were, when I know that Nick has 100% reviewed for the Ripped Bodice Awards, so they should know. I also know that I have seen Nick tweet about reaching out to them repeatedly to help with the report over the last few years, and I continue to think, why aren't you accepting help? Because it's very apparent that you're not statisticians, and that's okay. And I don't know, I feel like if people are offering you free labor on something like this, it's not a bad thing to say, yes, please, thank you. I think there's a big issue with this report, and they agree with this. You know, Nick and Ari bring this up in their article as well. Again, the raw data is nowhere to be found. The Ripped Bodice said they can't share the raw data because they would just be doxing a bunch of BIPOC authors. But there is a way to share that data and strip the names off and say, X books, you know, published by this publisher. Like, you don't have to give the names. You can strip that data. You could even strip the title. You could do publisher and the book. It's quite possible to blind some of those items. You know, we're presented with these percentages with no foundation to what they mean, because 10% of 100 is a lot different than 10% of 20. So if they published 10% of their books were by BIPOC authors, cool. But if they only publish 10 books, that's one book. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I hope this makes sense. Like, this really, we have no foundation for these graphs. They're just graphs made to reinforce what we already know, but not actually give us quantitative data on the items. And then one other big critique, y'all. Accurate critique is the Ripped Bodice claims they do not only use headshots to verify identity. This concerns me, because even if you just go off a name and a headshot, you can't verify someone's identity. Y'all, I get asked all the time in real life when I work, like in a place and I have a name tag or anything, people ask me all the fucking time what I am. Look at me, I am white as shit. But because of my name, people make assumptions about me. When I go to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, where I grew up as a youth, like, I get stopped. Like, people just talk to me in Spanish because they just assume, because I have dark hair, I have dark eyes, I must speak Spanish. I don't. I literally, like, get mistaken. And it's silly because, again, I don't think I look in any capacity beyond the idea of, like, being, you know, obviously from fully colonized family line from somewhere that is Spanish speaking. There's no way. It's not there. Like, you cannot verify an identity from a name or a headshot. They claim they look at interviews and other things, but I'm deeply concerned, as are other people, that they are verifying identities via headshots only. And that's scary. They also claimed that it would be too difficult to reach out to the authors, but I really think there's like a way they could do like a voluntary, here's a form. Did you have a book published traditionally this year? Are you any of these identities? Like, blah, blah, blah. I know it would be a little more work, but honestly, I think it would be work worth the effort at the end of the day. And then let's talk about, honestly, in general, the formatting of this report is awful. Again, I said I think it looks like a marketing tool piece. I think it kind of is a marketing tool piece. You know, no shame, like the Ripped Bodice was the first romance bookstore I've been. It's really cool. But they've really clung to this, like, being the only, when we have like 4 of them now. I just think it's weird. I find it really weird. I think that we really, you know, again, need them to re-examine how they format this report. I know they updated some graphs, and I didn't think they'd update graphs, guys. I really didn't. But of course they did. So I didn't grab any, but they updated the charts on the report apparently to be more legible. But I still, again, not clear enough. It's not enough info. Like, we're just getting thrown numbers and percentages, which tells you nothing. You have to have the, like, the comparison data, you know? It shouldn't be a graph of year and percent. That doesn't help anybody, or whatever, year and percent, you know? Like, that gives us nothing, like literally nothing. That's just a change, like how many? So if they published less books that year, but they published 2 more BIPOC authors, boom, their number's up. I also think it's really interesting because they like shame publishers for not engaging in the report and giving them the data they ask for. But when they are engaged on Twitter, they ignore it for like a while. Yeah. It just was not a good look. I'm still a little grumpy. And I think a serious discussion we need to have is, at what point is data no longer useful and no longer relevant? And at what point do we need to not just stop doing this? Because we already know the answer, and the answer is not great. And instead, you know, we need to focus on reading books that are by these authors, by traditional publishers, to make them acquire more of these books. And also, at what point do these books, you know, are they by a BIPOC author but not about people with their identity? Are they about white characters falling in love? Which is fine, but we have to have this discussion. Like, what are we really tracking here? What do we want to know? You know, what is the gate entry point? Is it that you're a BIPOC author writing white couples? Or are you a BIPOC author having to write interracial and not able to write your identities, love stories? Like, that's what I want to know. And we're not getting that from the report. So yeah, I just think there's a big discussion to be had around this report and how it's handled, and at what point is data no longer useful? Should this be handed off to other people to do? Should they help fund something maybe? You know, like, there are options out there. And yeah, I'm curious to see where we are in a few months with this. And again, please go check out Nick and Ari's blogs and read their critique on Medium about this. Everything will be linked in that description box. I need water. Oh. All right, y'all. One more negative thing. So, this new indie-focused romance publication came into being this last month / awareness, and it's called The Shift. This was a mess, y'all. Oh my gosh, this was a mess. Okay. So this publication is going to be focusing on indie romances. They listed their requirements for books for review. And this is so good, y'all. So they basically compared poly, BDSM, and incest to bestiality. They said an HEA isn't a requirement, but they're a romance magazine, and that they like pain. So they like pain, but they don't read BDSM. Okay. And then you're going to be romance focused, but not require an HEA. They will not accept books without proper grammar, which a big issue with this, and I've had this complaint about the judging for this year's RWA Awards. I've said this before. You can't put this as a requirement for books or a judging scale, because when you add this in, you suddenly eliminate people who write Black love and use AAVE in their books, because people can say that that's not grammatically correct, even if it is. Or if somebody is using Spanish in their book as well, or any other language, you could start saying like, this isn't grammatically correct, and be racist. Literally be racist. You get to be racist when you do this. Like, this is a racist tactic to say that the grammar isn't good enough, like proper enough, so we don't have to do this with this book. They're charging for reviews, but they don't pay reviewers. They're also making authors submit books without their author name on it, so the reviews are blinded. But also, I'm thinking about this, like, so the review's blinded, but what happens if like your book gets into pirating stuff? I'm just deeply uncomfortable with this. So Twitter went off. No one was happy. This was a very like crappy sounding situation, to be honest. Nobody knows who's behind this magazine either, so it's very interesting to me. Like, it's out of Chicago, like their address on their website, Chicago. It's a PO box, and we know they're stepping back now and holding their first magazine to like reevaluate their requirements. But yeah, you cannot say that you're a romance thing and then not follow the genre guidelines, like the genre requirements, which is an HEA or an HFN. It has to have a happily ever after, happy for now. It is not romance otherwise. Like, y'all, how many times we gotta go over this? That's why Nicholas Sparks isn't romance. So fortunately they did say, we're taking a step back. We're gonna evaluate the feedback and make changes. So we'll see what happens. I'm very curious. But yeah, it was a mess, literally. All right, are y'all ready for some fun stuff? Since Romancelandia Monthly is so heavy and we had a lot of stuff happening, I wanted to share some positives. And as always, if you have something you want me to share, just hit me up. Like, send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter, and I may or may not include it. It just depends on what's going on that month, what I've already gathered. But I'm happy to include all kinds of things in my updates, because I want to also spotlight positive and fun things happening in our community. So let's do that. Christina on Twitter shared with me a thread of pink pictures paired with pink books, and it was so cute. And it just honestly, it gave me some serotonin when I scrolled through this thread the other day, and it made me very happy. Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany and Michelle from Thor Wants Another Letter launched their Indigenous romance read-along. The first book just happened, which was Heartbeat Braves. And the live just recently happened, but book 2 is happening soon, like it's one a month. I'm gonna link to both of their announcement videos down below. Be sure to check it out. It's very hard to find Indigenous romance authors, so I highly recommend you check out some of these books. Plan on joining 1 month. We'll see where my mood takes me, but a lot of these are books that I have wanted to read. Adele Buck told me she has a fun announcement coming this week. I'm really excited. I'm hoping it's maybe another book cover or something like that, because I just got her recent release and I'm really excited about it. It's got like found family and it's friends to lovers, which is not my favorite, but I do love a found family. Other exciting news is Rebecca Weatherspoon's Cowboys of California has been optioned for TV, and I'm just, y'all, I will be watching this show if it happens onto my television. Fingers freaking crossed, because it is everything I want. And then the other thing is Romance Sparks Joy in April is celebrating their 2-year anniversary, which I can't believe we've been doing this for 2 years. Wow, that's amazing. I am an admin for them, so full bias here. Of course I'm gonna share this, but I wanted to preview that we're going to be launching, here it is, here's the bingo card. We are having a 2-year anniversary bingo next month with a bunch of prizes for bookstores. So you can go buy yourself some books. It's a 9x9 square, it's pretty chill. All the rules and requirements will be up on Twitter very soon if they aren't already when this goes live. So be sure to check that out. It will also be up on Instagram. You can find them at Spark Joy Romance and on Instagram at Romance Sparks Joy. We'll be sharing everything there. Be sure to check it out and join us. Ooh, okay, so that is it for this month's Romancelandia Monthly. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know. Let me know something good that happened to you in March, honestly, because I just feel like this update was a lot and I don't like it when they're this much. It's so much work, y'all. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But yeah, I just want y'all to let me know something good that happened to you this month, no matter what it was. I don't care. I just want some positive things. And if you don't want to do that, drop some rainbow emojis in the comments, because I'm feeling just, you know, spring showers, all that fun stuff. Yeah, so drop some rainbow emojis in the comments if you don't want to do that. You can find links to everything I talked about. There will be a ton of links in that description box for all the articles. You'll also find links to anywhere you can be my friend on the internet. If you want to do that, feel free to add me. And the Romance YouTuber Discord if you want to come hang out. I will catch you all later. Bye.
To a place where we don't know.